Well, hi everyone, Lisa Tamati here, back at Pushing the Limits, and I am with David Liow. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm very well this morning, thanks, Lisa.
You're over on the Sunshine Coast?
I am, which is looking quite sunny this morning, and we had a lot of rain last night, but the sunny coast is the sunny coast today.
Perfect. We've already wrecked the morning for your whole family trying to get on this damn call and waking your daughter up and getting your laptop and stuff like that. So apologise to your family, but we've got you on here. So I'm really privileged to have you on again, Dave. You're a return offender to my podcast. You were on a couple of years ago, I think it was.
Was a while back.
Was a while back. So really excited to catch up with you. And today we're going to be talking a couple of different areas, and we'll probably wander off path. But today, everyone, it's about light and blue light blocking glasses that you may have heard about and why this is important, and sleep. Dave's an expert in this area and has actually gone out and designed his own glasses for people. So we're going to be getting into all of that good stuff. But Dave, tell us what you've been up to in the last couple of years and what you do over there on the Sunshine Coast.
So in the Sunshine Coast, I have a exercise physiology clinic, which unfortunately is in shutdown at the moment. So we're doing a lot of remote work, which is why Zoom has become a big commodity here at the moment in my household.
Yes.
So I also mentor a group of some of the best trainers in the world, many of which are based in New Zealand, actually. So I work with that group there and take them right through their education work. I do a lot of presenting too, so often in Asia, but and New Zealand. I spent a lot of time in New Zealand. In fact, I was in New Zealand pretty much the whole of February. Just got back in time before things went to custard.
And you are a Kiwi, of course.
I am, of course, a Kiwi. Yes. Absolutely.
So, like to claim you.
But I've been over here for about 10 years now. But certainly, I still do a lot of work in New Zealand in particular, and a fair bit in Australia, funnily enough, because that's where I live.
Well, we should. Yeah, and you have a hell of a reputation in the personal training and the fitness training space. You talk to anybody who's done anything, above the sort of basic stuff, and they know who you are. So you've got a long history. You are a holistic movement coach. Can you explain what that is?
Absolutely. So holistic movement coach, the idea is it's more than movement, and that's pretty much what the logo says. So much more than movement, because what I found is, I guess I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and what I've always specialized in is the mechanics of the body.
Yep.
So I look at what's connected to what, look at how the tissues work, look at how joints work, look at how people move, and that was my world. But what I found after a while is that's not enough.
Yeah.
Because we're more than just joints and levers, so much more.
Yeah.
So if you don't look after the other part, and that's where the holistic part comes in, if you don't look after the whole person, after everything from their mindset through to their sleep, through to their nutrition, there's just no way you can get your results. So you can have the best training program in the world, the best corrective exercise program in the world, but if your mind, you're stressed out of your brain, you're not sleeping, I don't care what you give someone, it's just not going to work.
It's so funny that you come to the same conclusion, and a lot of people have of late, I think, as we do more research and starting to see also when you're training somebody or two people and you're getting completely different results and you're giving them the same program and the same goals and they're the same type of person, same age or whatever.
Yep.
And you're like, why is that person getting results and they're not? So really being in that personal space and that holistic looking at, because I truly believe like our mind is so important for healing. It's not just mechanical, is it? It isn't just when you've got a sore back, it isn't just necessarily about the back.
Oh, no way.
Can you explain?
And pain's so complex. And I know you've had some speakers talk about pain as well. Pain's extremely complex. It's an output, not an input. So certainly when you're talking about pain and injury, there's so much going on in the brain with that. Sure, there's some mechanical parts that can have a role, but the top 2 inches are just absolutely vital. And, with your background, Lisa, you know that in terms of high performance, but you can apply that to any field.
Yeah.
And, I guess one of the big differences that I've come across is we're so focused on loading people. That's been our thing. How do we train people? How do we add more load onto people? That's adding more stress onto people. So, and I'll talk at a conference. There'll be, there might be 50 talks on at the conference. 45 of them will be about loading. How to load people with kettlebells, how to load them with power bands, how to Olympic lift. And those things are great, don't get me wrong. And I teach those and I do those. But where's the other part about getting people recovering well, getting them in the right place. So one of the key fundamentals in holistic movement coach is getting people in the right place so they can accept load. And that's a really big point of difference. So if you can get people in the right space, then you apply your load. You can apply whatever load you want and they'll be fine. But until you're in that space, you're going to have nothing but breakdown.
Yeah, and this is a real mind shift, because like I know you've worked with a lot of elite level athletes, and you know, in my stupid career, and I don't count myself as an elite athlete, I count myself as one of those stupid stubborn ones, but I had that mentality, just go hard or go home, you know, go harder, go harder, go harder. It was always the answer. If I wasn't getting results, go harder. And it took me a long time to realize, especially as I got older, that approach was no longer working. And how do you reconcile that for people that are in the elite space, that are just used to going full bore, and then they're suddenly not getting the results they used to get?
Yeah, it's funny. I had a conversation with a group of athletes the other day, and what I normally find is you are the classic woman high performance athlete. You really are. So most of the guys, well, I always find individual athletes work harder than team athletes.
Yeah.
Ones that work in funded sports, and you know, there's some great athletes there, and this is a massive generalization.
Yeah, this is,
I'm sorry for,
but I
sorry
totally
for any
agree.
of my guys out there who are listening to this and going, hang on, when I was working with you, I worked hard.
Yeah.
But you find that the individual athletes work harder.
Yep.
Most of the men, you need to kick up the arse to get them working harder. Most of the women, you need to hold them back.
Hold them back.
So, yeah. So you're the classic one, but you learn. You got smarter as you train. Yep. And you know, I've read your journey and how you've run. You
thank
figured
God for
yourself
Neil,
out.
our mutual friend Neil, for pulling me back constantly, going.
But you were there to listen too.
Yeah.
You know, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and you know, you certainly you know, you figured out some pretty cool stuff, and you know, that's the stuff that you apply in your program now.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
yeah.
And having that, you know, that someone like Neil, like, because I would argue with him, but eventually I came around because what I was doing wasn't working.
Yeah,
and then, hello, he was right.
Damn it.
Fancy that. I had to admit he was right all along. But it is, and it's a really hard shift. And I think, you know, because you get away with a lot when you're 20.
You do.
When you're 40 and you're still trying to be at the top of your game, or your mid-30s even, you start to have different things going on, and things aren't recovering as well as they were. And even though you're doing the same thing, it's just not more of the same. So every decade, I reckon, you need a complete new approach.
Yep, you need to do it smarter. And I've got a guy who he goes to the World Championship triathlon every year, and he's been doing that I've been working with him for the last since I arrived here, 9 years now, and he got his 3 fastest times last year. Actually, the last one was Mooloolaba, which is the last triathlon event before they close down all the events here. So he's getting faster and faster and faster. And you know,
even though he's older.
Yeah, and he's 53 now.
Holy heck!
And what
There's hope for me yet.
Yeah, we had a chat the other day and we were laughing about it. And he's saying, you know, my 3 fastest times have been in my last year. Yeah. He said, yeah, we're actually starting to get the hang of it now. So look, we can flip the age card and look, there is a part to play. I'm getting on as well, but look at that experience you can bring to the table there. Totally. You know, and I'm often training with young guys, and they're going, "You're doing all right for an old guy." And I say, "You go really well for a young guy who hasn't got nearly the experience I have."
Yeah.
So, but
don't ever compliment them.
So
make them find out the hard way.
No. Too right, but it just has to be done smarter.
Yeah.
So much smarter, and you know, we all look at ourselves as young athletes and go, "Oh man, I had so much raw ability there," but then you look at how you're training now and go, boy, I'm so much smarter now. You know, if you can take I'd much rather have a smart athlete than a raw athlete. Combine the two and you've got something really special.
Yeah, and give that time. And I think like now we're starting to crack, and this is an area of study that really interests me, is longevity, for obvious reasons. I'm getting old and my parents are getting old, and I want to keep everyone alive and healthy. So that's the focus of my study in a lot of ways. And we are working things out now to slow that aging process and reverse a lot of the danger, a lot of the problems that we've caused ourselves. So I'm excited for some of the stuff I've been getting, you know, reading all sorts of stuff on peptides and all this sort of stuff,
Yep.
and just wishing I could get access to some of the stuff and try it all out, because I'm a true blue biohacker, try everything out on your own body, see how it works. And there's some amazing stuff coming, and the information that's coming down the pipeline, if we can just stay healthy long enough, we've got a good chance at living really long, healthy lives. I think, in the next 10 years, there's going to be so much change happen that, good things are going to happen if we're onto it and we know we're aware of what's coming in this space. So I'm really excited for the, being able to maintain performance for longer and help, health and longevity, beyond 100. I think that's, well and truly possible. So exciting. And of course,
I love what you've just said there too, because health is that foundation.
Yeah.
We call it health and fitness. I mean, it has to be health then fitness. You can't have one without the other.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know you had some real challenges in your career there. And when that health goes, you can forget about the other part of it, because it's just not going to last you.
I'm still undoing some of the damage I've done to my body. I've managed to save my kidneys and get them back on track, but then hormones came into the picture, and troubles in the lady department and all that sort of jazz. That's knock-on effects, and there's a lot to unravel if I'd done it differently back then. And of course, doing extreme ultra marathons brings with it dangers. It's not a couple of hours running around the roads. It's doing really, really at the limit things. And as a coach now, I'm always like concerned. Sometimes I find myself like being that old mother bear that's like, don't push that hard. So go to those lengths, because sometimes it's not worth it for a competition.
One of the things that I often find myself saying to people is they equate fitness with health, but boy, that sport's not about health. Sport's about seeing how hard you can push yourself before you or your opponent breaks.
Yeah.
So, and that is the pointy end of performance. So, the way you've been pushing yourself, that's where you've got to have everything covered. And that's where I love that approach you said about your health and getting all those bits and pieces there. Because if you can get all those bases covered, you have got potential to push yourself very well. But a lot of people don't bring that health to that base health to the table.
In other words, high performance sport or extreme endurance sport, in my case, is not healthy in and of itself. And I truly believe, like, I was extremely fit in one way. I could run for hundreds of Ks, but I was sick. And if I look at myself and the way I looked and the way my body, my phenotype, my body was presenting, I did not look healthy. I look healthier. I look, funnily enough, more athletic now, because I'm not holding all the fluid and my kidneys are working again. And I was always 4 or 5, I was quite puffy, I was quite, I was always a muscular build, but I was puffy and unhealthy looking. And I always thought I was carrying weight, and wondering why, when I'm doing millions of kilometers a year. And now I know why, because my body was just complete in hormonal hell and adrenal hell. And so I was fit, but I was not healthy. And now for me, it's all about being healthy, longevity, and having foundational health.
And bringing that to your runners that you're working with in your groups, that's going to make people enjoy what they do so much more and achieve great things. So that's the way it should be done. So good on you for learning the lesson and bringing that lesson out to other people.
Yeah, exactly. And then being able to share the insights. And it's funny that we both come to the same sort of conclusions. Well, it's probably logical. I suppose it's also a part of the age that we're at, and, having that maturity to be able to it's not all just about macho, cool, go. It's about being, strategic. And, when I look at a lot of young athletes that are, it's all about their abs, and it's all about, how sexy they look. And that approach is also not healthy. Like, it's not going to be healthy just because you're like ripped, especially when it comes to women. I think, like, we have this, the ideal that isn't actually necessarily always a healthy ideal. It might look good for 5 minutes in your bikini ideal, but it's not exactly where you should be health-wise and hormonally and all of that sort of stuff. We've gone completely off track, because today was meant to be talking, but I love talking to people like you. So let's get back to blue light blocking glasses. and why these are important, what they do, and how does having the wrong light at the wrong time affect your health. That would be a good place.
Well, I guess we need to kind of talk about light to start with. And, if you think about the foundations of health, if we think about the foundations of who we are as humans, we've always been exposed to light and dark. Those are two things that have never changed. And the way that we've operated in most cultures is that you are active in the day. That's the time you hunt, gather. And at night, that's the time you sleep. Because as cavemen and cavewomen, we weren't the fastest beings or strongest. So if you go hunting at night, unfortunately, that saber-toothed tiger's got better night vision than you have. So that's just not a logical time for you to go and do your thing. So we've always been exposed to that as a way of regulating where our system's at and where we are. Every cell in your body has a circadian rhythm. So circadian means about a day. So every cell in your body has a certain function at a certain time. And there's a neat little Wikipedia article on this, which basically says the different times where your reaction time's best. And you know this yourself. You get up, you'll have a certain routine that you'll go through. There are times you'll feel hungry. There are times you'll go to the toilet. There are times that you're most awake, most alert, times that you want to go to sleep. So we have a whole rhythm built into our behaviors, and every single cell in our body has behaviors and actions that are governed by day and light. So this is one of the foundation rulers of how our body works.
Absolutely. So what we've done in the last couple of 100 years, or I don't know how long we've actually had electric light, but ever since we've had electric light, we've tipped everything up on its ear. And we now have light at nighttime, whereas in the caveman days, and this is where our DNA hasn't evolved with the way that we've changed our lifestyle so quickly. So we were exposed to, televisions and light and artificial light and fluorescent light and horrible lots of light at nighttime, when our bodies are producing the hormones to go to sleep, your melatonin and things like this. If we even go back, like I've just been reading a book by T.S. Wiley on hormonal health for women and so on, and she talks about the fact that back in the old days when we were only governed by moonlight, all women cycled at the same time. And I was like, wow. So we used to be all in sync with the moon and like how much light.
I bet there were massive male camping trips at around certain times of the month there.
Exactly. We're out of here. But isn't that interesting that we used to be completely governed, and this is, back in caveman days, by those cycles of day and night. And now we're so bombarded with other types of light that all of our cycles have now become individual cycles.
That light exposure, that's a massive one. That's a great point, because we used to have real light and real dark. So if I'm looking outside now, it's a pretty sunny day here. So light's measured in what the unit's called lux, and a lux is the amount of light put out by a candle when it's 1 meter away from you. So that's 1 lux.
Okay.
So if you're looking at moonlight, we'll go with moonlight. Moonlight is around maybe 0.5 to 1 lux. So it's a very light amount of light. Or it's a very small amount of night. So, but if I'm looking at a room, let's say you're soft lighting in a bedroom, that's 50 lux.
Wow.
So if you're sitting in you're in your dark room, that's not a dark room, that's 50 lux. And what's happening now is with all the artificial light, and for me, I live in the suburbs. So my neighbors have their light on. It puts if I walk outside, I'll see that. So we're not exposed to real dark. Our dark's not dark.
Right.
If we flip it the other way too, our light's not light. So I'm looking outside at the moment. I've probably got 50,000 lux of natural sunlight out there. If I'm sitting in an office though, I've probably got 300 lux. So when I'm in day sitting in my light, I'm not sitting in real light. And when I'm at night, I'm not sitting in real dark.
Wow.
So now we have that, that 50 Shades of Grey thing going on. That movie. We've got that all the time. So we're not seeing real dark and real light. Some of the people that probably, hopefully listening to our interview today, they may get up in the morning. It may be dark where they are too. They might flick on a light bulb. Okay, they'll hop in their car. They'll go to their office underground. They'll go into their office where they'll sit in their cubicle all day with their fluorescent light. They can't get out for lunch because they're busy. They'll come home. By then it might be getting a bit dark too. They'll go and they'll sit in front of their TV. So they get no exposure to real dark or real light.
Yeah.
And boy, that is the foundation for how our body operates. You get that wrong, you mess that up, you can get a whole range of interesting symptoms. Every system every cell in your body is affected by that. So where it goes, nobody knows, but it's not going to be good.
No, and this is, and it affects so many systems. Like we have, our hormonal system, as I mentioned before. We've got
absolutely.
our melatonin production in our eyes, and also the fact that, like, that's getting to the the subject of why sunlight's important. And we've all been told, like, don't put sunscreen on and make sure you're covered up when you go out in the sun and so on. And that is actually, we're not getting enough vitamin D. I mean, everyone knows that we produce vitamin D when we go out into the sunshine, but I don't think people know how important vitamin D and all of the processes. It's actually a pro-hormone, they're calling it now, not a vitamin, because it affects so many parts of the body and so many organs. Everything from your mood, which we do understand that that produces that seasonal disorder. But it also, like, is the building block, one of the building blocks of your hormones, of your mood, and all of these things are being affected. Even your bone health, like vitamin D is one of those crucial things, and we can supplement with vitamin D. And I think for a lot of people, that's a great thing to be doing if you can't get the normal amount of sunlight. And I was reading
that
about
sun again, though, isn't it?
But we need to actually go outside and get sun on our eyes and sun on our skin. What actually happens when we go out and we get that sunlight? Because I used to wear I still do most of the time, because I've got very sensitive eyes to light. So I've been wearing my sunglasses forever and a day outside. Why is it important that I take my sunglasses off sometimes?
So what I would normally recommend, particularly for people who have sleep problems, is they get some real sunlight in their eyes, particularly in that first half of the day. So that morning sun. So that's the most important time. So when that light comes through, so light's made of a whole lot of different colors. So all the colors of the rainbow, the aurora borealis thing. But particularly daylight or real light is very high in blue light. When that comes through, it goes through your eyes, and there's some photosensitive ganglion cells. So there's some specific cells in your eyes, which right in your retina there, which send signals to your master clock in your brain, which then sends signals out to the rest of your body, letting you know what time it is.
Wow.
So that morning sun, so sunglasses, I've got no problems with sunglasses if you're out in the sun all day, but getting up, being in sunglasses all day, that's going to do you a disservice. So ideally you want some real light in your eyes, particularly 15 minutes is great. 30 is probably better, but 15, but even 5 minutes better than nothing.
Right.
So if you are struggling with sleep, even if you can eat your breakfast outside or get a little bit of a walk in from your car to the office or round the block, getting some real sunlight, that will help your brain distinguish, okay, this is daytime.
It's real daylight.
Then if you can get some real dark, okay, then your brain can start thinking, okay, now I understand what time of day it is, so I can start getting my cycles right.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. And then so many knock-on effects for our health when we do that, when we do it wrong. And like what I'm working with a few different people who are unfortunately in hospital at the moment with various problems. The lights in the hospital, we're sticking our sickest, most vulnerable people under these horrific lights that are going all night. I mean, of course, the nurses need to move around and see. So it's a bit of I don't know how to fix the problem. Geez, how do you repair?
So those fluoro and LED lights are particularly high in blue light too. So when you're in those hospitals, Changi Airport is another place, which I'm obviously not at the moment, but I go in there and the amount of light in that place is ridiculous. And you're often there at 3 a.m. in the morning and traveling between places. Those light signals are incredibly strong. And that's effectively that blue light coming from those lights there is telling your brain that it's middle of the day. So I always think about the nurses that work in those places too. That's a real health hazard for them. So unfortunately, we've got all these lights in our houses now too. So LED lights are very energy efficient, but also extremely powerful. So you've got a whole lot of intensity, but also very, very high in blue light. The old school filament light light bulbs are very low in blue light. So the old school lights,
Wow.
although they
Okay.
burn more energy, were actually far better for your health.
For your health. Wow. So
So
these
that's where
downlight
candle
type
lights,
things, no good.
yeah,
Wow.
no, not unfortunately not. And that's where your candle light's really great too. And when we were thinking back to our roots, and this is, if we look in the past to find out how we need to kind of operate
Yep.
for our health today, fire is also very low in blue light. So sitting around a fire is actually very calming. Doesn't wake you up unless you're sitting too close to the fire.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
candlelight's a
And getting
great
the
thing.
heat and yeah.
Yeah.
And that, like just on that, a change of temperature just before you go to bed is also another good sleep
Yes.
hack.
Absolutely.
Warmth, this is why when you increase the warmth or even cold actually, well, as long as you change the temperature that
Yep.
you've been in, it signals to your body, oh, there's a change coming, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's another little trick, and why probably sitting around the fire that didn't have blue light, and that would help you go and nod off afterwards.
That idea of sleep routines is just fantastic, and
Yeah.
and having a good sleep routine is fantastic, and we do this with our kids. We're great at it. Okay, we're going to get ready to go to bed now. Okay, we'll brush your teeth now. We're going to do a story here. Okay, we're going to put on your bedside lamp. We'll turn the light down and we'll go to sleep. But when we're adults, we kind of forget about that, and you go, oh, okay, I'll
Yep.
watch till the end of this program here, and it might be one time you'll go to bed. It might be 9 p.m. Next time it's 11:30. It's all over the show. We don't do that with our kids.
No.
And we forget about those routines, and part of that is light. Light's a big part of that. That's the most important part of your sleep routine, is getting your light source right.
That's exactly right. And this is why, so you learned this, and then you said, right, I'm going to go and buy some blue light blocking glasses.
Yep.
And I did that too. And you go on the internet, you Google up somewhere on Etsy or eBay or somewhere, and you buy something. And what did you find with those glasses?
Yeah. So actually, I know a previous speaker you had on was talking about sleep apnea, and I have positional sleep apnea.
Yep.
So look, I've always thought I slept pretty well, but when I started working on my sleep apnea and my breathing, boy, I went to another level. And I got quite excited about it. And once I found out about blue light and the effects that have, I thought, man, I've got to get that right. So I did exactly the same as you. I went out and I bought about 20 pairs of glasses from all sorts of people. And when I did my research there, I found out, okay, I need to find out about transmission spectrum, or in other words, what colors or what frequencies of light we're blocking with those glasses. So every pair of glasses that I bought, I emailed the manufacturer and said, tell me about your glasses, okay? What transmission spectrum are they, and what have they been tested? Most of them never even got back to me. And the ones that did had absolutely no idea what the lenses were doing.
Wow.
So I started thinking, well, come on, this can't be right. And it didn't seem to matter what price I paid for those glasses either. Even some of the so-called blue light glasses websites, they had no idea or no data supporting what they were actually doing. So what you were getting was all over the show. Sometimes I'd actually find I'd get the same pair of glasses from two different manufacturers, and they were the same pair of glasses, but they were totally different. They had totally different stats on them. All the lenses were different colors, and they said they were the same.
So it's all bullshit, in other words.
Absolutely. So here's an example of one I got here, and I'll just put that. This is what typically a blue light glass looks like.
Yeah.
It's got a slight orange tinge to it, and that blocks certain colors. So particularly the blue is the color we want to block. And what that does is that takes away the signal to our brain that it's daylight. So the idea with blue light blocking glasses is to tell your brain, you wear them at night to tell your brain that it's not daytime. So that was a so-called blue light blocking. There's a cheap pair. I think that was maybe $40 or something off some internet site, and that's mine. And if we have a look at the difference in color, apparently these block the same amount of light.
Wow, no, they're completely different looking.
No, they don't, because I actually ended up getting an optometry lab to produce mine, because I got so disappointed with the quality of glasses. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to wear these myself. And if I shouldn't wear them, why the hell would I ask other people to wear them?
Yeah, and it's really hard as a lay person. You read the advertising material, and you know that the science is correct, like the what we've been saying about it, and it makes sense to you. And then you go and buy some, and then you're disappointed because it's not doing, or you don't notice. You just think, I'm doing it right, and I've got it right, and I haven't. So now you've got these available. So I will be putting the links, of course, to your glasses in the show notes. But just let us know where we can we grab your glasses from.
Yep. So Holistic Movement Coach is my company. So it's HM with a dash coach.com, and they are available in the store there, which you can get. And I'm sure if we ask Lisa nicely, she might put a coupon code in for you.
Yes, I'm definitely, we're going to do that. And I'll put that in the show notes. Or I'd actually like to list them up on our site and drop,
Excellent.
so that people have them available. So you either go to Dave's website or my website and you'll be able to grab those ones. We'll sort that out afterwards. Okay,
actually, Lisa, you were talking about melatonin before, and that's one of the things that got me really excited when I started looking at the glasses. And there was one study that kind of I looked at and went, wow, that's amazing. And they had two groups of people. One had a clear lens, and the other one had a blue light blocking glasses lens. And it was good quality lens. It was pretty much the same as mine.
Yep.
And they showed their melatonin levels creeping up during the night, and that's what should happen. So melatonin is it's basically a hormonal signal for dark. It's your body's way of saying it's dark, and those levels creep up as soon as it starts getting dark. And they were going the same until what happened is the blue light blocking glasses guys had a much higher level of melatonin than the ones that were wearing the clear lenses. So since they were in a room which is about 150 lux, which is an average lounge. So the blue light blocking glass folks had a much higher melatonin level, so they were getting the appropriate signal. But what was interesting though was after they went to sleep in the morning, the folks that blocked blue light had less melatonin first thing in the morning.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, because the last thing when you're awake, you don't want melatonin running around your body. That's just so they wake up drowsy. So typically people who don't block blue light will struggle to get to sleep because they're not getting that chemical message from melatonin that it's dark. But then in the morning, they get stuck with that excess melatonin and find it hard to get going.
Wow.
So if you're one of those folks that struggle to get to sleep and also struggle to get going in the morning, that exposure to light could be a really big factor.
And the melatonin and the cortisol are related. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but I started taking, because I was having trouble sleeping, melatonin tablets, supplements. And I was, it was good. I was sleeping much better. Then I did a blood test, and I'm not quite sure, but my doctor rang me up in a bit of a panic going, your melatonin levels are 10,000 times too high. Your blood's, I think your serum levels or whatever, it's not, actually 10,000, but it was a lot higher. And I had no cortisol, because they did a cortisol test, and I don't know whether it was related to the melatonin or not, but since stopping the melatonin and implementing some other things, to be fair, my cortisol levels are now back at the top end of normal range. So now at the top end, but so it's a bit of a so you're just taking a supplement of melatonin can be a good thing, but you have to be a little bit careful with that as well.
Melatonin's a strange one, and I used to recommend people to take melatonin once upon a time, but melatonin is the only hormone that you can buy across the counter or even online and get it shipped to you. I mean, imagine doing that with testosterone or any other hormones you've got in your body. It's a strange one, and it's very unregulated. So when you get a melatonin, if you're taking a pill or a capsule or drops, the dose you get is often very different from the dose that you experience in your body too. So it's very unregulated. So it's a little bit tricky with the brand you're using. Now, what you found there, Lisa, and you're a perfect example of that, is your levels went sky high, because often what happens is melatonin builds up and production peaks around the middle of your sleep cycle. So if you went to bed at 10 and woke up at 6, halfway through that would be about 2 a.m. So that's when your melatonin levels are really cranking. But when you take a melatonin before you go to sleep, you're going to get that peak very, very early as well. So now you're going to get a hormonal message, which is in the wrong time of that cycle too. So that can still set up some little issues there. And if you're getting crazy high levels of that, that can cause you some issues.
And this was only one tablet, little wee tiny tablet at night. So it wasn't, like overdosing or anything. And then the cortisol, which is your a stress hormone, but it's one we want in the morning,
Absolutely.
was in the gutter. So I was like waking up like, oh my God, do I have to get out of bed? Because I don't want, there's just no get up and go. And it was just sheer grit to get up.
You'll still be flooded with melatonin at that time there. And, you did right. Cortisol is you get up and go in the morning. So melatonin should plummet in the morning because it's no longer dark. It's time to get up. And cortisol levels, it should be the highest there to get you out of bed. So you start playing around with that system by introducing foreign substances in there. You can get some varied results, which may not be the
want to do it under controlled if you're going to do it.
And hey, great that you're measuring it too, though. That's at least you know what's working for you and what's not working for you.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, we can't go and get a cortisol test every week or a blood test every week. So it's always a time and point. But and when you, because I've struggled for a long time with adrenal insufficiency. Surprise, surprise. And a lot of people have high cortisol, whereas I was like no cortisol, like not producing any hormones of any sort for everything in the gutter, and wondering why when I'm training my ass off things aren't working, and starting to over the last couple of years starting to unravel that mess and get it back. And it's not easy, and it's hard. And of course, when you're going through the changes in life anyway, and you've got all that going on, but we can optimize this if we learn enough, if we get the right doctors, if we get the right support in this and getting our hormones right, so that we stay in the optimal ranges, I think is, but you do need to do that under the auspices of a good, hopefully a functional doctor, because you don't want to be playing around with these things willy-nilly, even melatonin, even though you can buy it over the counter. Can have adverse effects.
So I think, as a culture, we're always looking for that quick fix or that pill.
Always.
I think melatonin is like step 42 in my ways of getting better sleep.
That is a good way of putting it. It is one of the tools in the kit. But it needs to be done in a regulated fashion, and it needs to be done a little bit carefully. And there are other things, lower hanging fruit. The natural way is always a better way if we can do it.
And look, blue light blocking glasses aren't the be all and end all. Certainly, if you can sleep in a dark room, I love that temperature, the idea of temperature you had before, get your temperature right in your room. If you can dim your lights as well and try and keep away from bright lights at night, that's going to help. And look, something's better than nothing. But certainly if you are really struggling with your sleep and you want to get that back on track, working with light and dark is the number one thing I work with sleep disturbances. That's the first thing I'll look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, we had that lovely interview last week with Jez Morris on the show. It might be a couple of weeks back by the time people hear this. And that's a really important one too, to go and understand. Because, like someone like you said you have positional sleep apnea. You're extremely fit and extremely, into health. And most people equate apnea with people who are overweight, to people who drink too much, people who, have diabetes perhaps, or those sort of comorbidities. How did you discover it, if you don't mind sharing? And what do you have to be on a CPAP machine, or are you just doing
No, I've got mild sleep apnea.
So which a lot of us will have, by the way.
Absolutely. So I've always been a snorer. My father's a snorer. My brother's a snorer. And it comes down to airway. So when you sleep, part of sleeping is relaxation, and that's where the repair happens. And that's why we spend a third of our life there. But when you're relaxing, part of the issue too is that the muscles around your jaw relax as well. So if you're lying on your back, in particularly, what that means is the tongue can come back and it can block the airway. Your airway is only about as thick as a straw. It's a very small thing. So particularly if you have a jaw that doesn't sit very forward, if you don't have a big jutting forward jaw, and unfortunately I don't.
Square jaw.
You do. My jaw comes back and it shuts off my airway.
Wow.
And effectively, it's like someone smothering me in the night. So that causes snoring, but also it can totally block my airway and wake me up. So I ended up measuring,
disturbing your sleep.
So I ended up measuring a lot of sleep, and I looked into measuring sleep. I did that for looking at every device under the sun, and I tend to use this one here called a night shift.
Okay.
You can see on the picture there, you can actually put it around your neck. Is the idea, and that's a medical grade sleep measuring device without people going into a sleep lab. It's the best device to use. And so
Oh,
here we go. You just
got
pop
to
it
get
around
one
your
of
neck
those
and
for the husband.
off you go. And basically, what I ended up doing is measuring my own sleep. Then hundreds of people after that. Then teaching lots of people how to do that, and how to analyze that and figure out what's going on with people's sleep.
Where
And
can we get those? Do you know, by chance?
it's a medical one, so
Oh,
they're
you have
not
to
easy to
go.
get by.
Okay, I'll go and see
So
Jez and see, because that would be, because not everybody wants a full blown
no,
sleep study and a CPAP machine.
yeah. So
But
what we actually do with my guys and holistic movement coaches that I train, they're actually trained to we actually hire them out. We get people to actually collect the data. They send them back to us, and then we actually take them through what their data means. So you've
wow,
got your watches that you can wear, which can give you some sleep
yeah,
information. That's called
yep,
actigraphy. And the idea is you put your watch on your wrist. When you move your wrist, it means you're awake. When you're not moving, you're asleep. That's probably a little bit too simplistic.
yeah,
That's kind of looking at the speedo in your car, saying, okay, that's how my car's running. There's a lot
yeah,
more going on the
yeah,
surface than
absolutely,
just that one reading.
yep,
So what a sleep study does, and what they do in a sleep lab, is they'll put leads onto your head, looking at your brain activity. They'll look at your breathing. They'll look at your heart rate. They'll look at movement. So the movement, the actigraphy part's only one small part of it. So what a night shift does is it actually attaches around your neck, because if you're moving your neck, that device on the back of your neck, you're awake.
yep,
So it's much more accurate for a start. But it also measures snoring as well,
uh-huh.
so snoring volume, and also any position you're in. So what I found is when I'm lying on my back, well, that's the time when my airway is
As
mostly
Jez said
stilled.
last week, yeah,
Yeah.
that's when
So
it,
when I'm lying on my side, it's not so bad.
yeah.
So and there's also a setting on there where you can actually get it to buzz you when you're on your back. So you can use it to retrain to sleep on your side, which is what I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be really interested. Maybe we can talk afterwards where I
Yeah.
could get one, because like I've got Jez as a friend and so on. But convincing your father or your husband to
Yeah.
go and have a full-on sleep
Yep.
study is one thing, and they won't do
That's
it.
what we found as well.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm going to measure something, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it the best I can.
Yeah.
And certainly, look, the aura ring is also pretty good. But
Yep.
again, aura's on your hand, so you move your hand around, it
Right.
kind of gives you some misleading data.
Yep.
So, the night shift is the most accurate way I've found of measuring sleep in the home,
That
and
sounds
that's great because if you
awesome.
want to change sleep, I mean, measure it so you can measure it to manage it.
Absolutely.
There's also some questionnaires which I'd really recommend, and we get our guys to fill those in as well, because we want to kind of find out how they're feeling as well, and also getting an idea of their sleep habits. But there's no lying, the amount of data that comes out of that is incredible. And I've had some people really change their sleep habits around once they see what's going on.
Oh gosh, yeah. When you put them
And
in front of the data,
yeah,
because everyone's like, I'm okay. But I was
yeah,
like, no, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I was, listening to my husband sleep the other day, and he stopped breathing for like 3 minutes.
yeah,
I actually got the thing out and I timed
wow,
him, and I was like, holy crap, he's
yeah,
not, and then he would go back onto his side, and then he would,
yeah,
do that, and I'm like, oh, and he's not overweight, and he's fit,
yep,
and he's like, how can I have a problem, um, so I'll talk to you after this thing, but
yes.
can people virtually contact you and do that, or does it have to be an in-person thing? You
No,
have to
we
be
do
in
that
Sunshine?
remotely. So the idea is, you don't have to come and sit in the lab and get hooked up with 100 leads
You
around
can
your head.
send that out for a
Yep,
bit.
we send it out. You wear it. We get a couple of nights data to
Yeah,
make sure we've got a reasonable. We
yeah,
want a reasonable, if there's such a thing as an average night's sleep.
yeah.
You have some questionnaires as well. You send that back to us. We get all the data off it, and then we take you through and go, okay, here's what's happening with your sleep here, and here's some of
Wow.
the patterns you've got. And just like you'd have a training program for your running,
Yeah.
we have one for sleep as well, so you can get your sleep more on
All
track.
right, I'm doing that.
Yeah,
I'm getting that for the family.
sure.
The reason I had sleep apnea and Jez on last week was because it saved my mum's life. It's that
Oh,
important.
yeah,
When you have a stroke, especially, you need to get a proper
yep,
full blown, sleep test done. If you've had a brain injury, this is something that's really, really under known. It's just not known that this is a
Yep.
problem in the general medical world. And I'm like, that's why, like, I do not believe my mum would be alive if I had not got a sleep apnea machine and got a CPAP machine. That was the first step.
So there's a lot of really good healing that goes on in sleep, and particularly around the brain. So, there's a lot of processes where the little cells are going around cleaning up all the debris there, cleaning out
Yes,
the brain,
the
but also
plaques.
cleaning out the psyche as well.
Yeah.
So, if you can optimize the sleep there, boy, you're going to make such a big impact on people's health, and particularly if they've had central nervous system damage.
Yes.
In fact, that was when I first put these glasses out, I actually gave a talk to a group of physiotherapists, and some of them were working specifically with concussion, and they looked at the stuff and they went, "Holy cow!
Yeah, me
Can we
too.
trial these and
Yeah.
with our patients?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." And they just got back to me and said, "Wow, the difference that's making
Yeah.
is incredible." Because think about when you get central nervous system damage, it's hard to filter in all that information that's coming at you. And if you're getting abnormal light signals all the time, particularly at night, that's another stress your body has to play with. So often they were getting some great results with people sleeping better, feeling a lot better, particularly with concussion types and head injuries, by using blue light blocking glasses.
Yeah, and this is why, we're having this conversation, because this is going to go in my new course on brain optimization and longevity, because
Yep.
this is a big piece of the puzzle for people who have
Mm.
suffered, whether it's strokes or concussions, or, even for people who have vascular problems like dementia
Yeah.
or Alzheimer's. I think this
Oh,
is all foundational health things that we need to be
yeah.
addressing, and those people especially.
And sleep is the foundation of our healing, our self-healing. So you get that right, that's money for jam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And we're all
yeah,
looking for these fancy things and these
I know.
fancy
We've
programs,
got an
and
inbuilt system. We've
yeah,
got all these inbuilt systems. We just need to use them and tap into them. So what you've got those sleep cycles, which I'm sure has been covered elsewhere, but you've got your non-REM and your REM sleep. So
yep.
your REM sleep is when they notice that your eyes were moving a lot, but that's the one where you get your dreams a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So that what happens, you get cycles of non-REM and REM sleep throughout
Yep.
your night.
Mm-hmm.
When you first go to bed, your non-REM cycles are longer than your REM cycles, but as those cycles repeat over and over again, as you keep into your sleep, by the time you're getting closer to morning, your REM sleep are the bigger parts of the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the non-REM sleep is really important for physical repair. So
Aha.
if you've got clients who are ill or have physical illness, that's really important. They get to bed early and make the most of those in-REM cycles. So they need those big long cycles at the start, because if you go to bed really late, you're going to miss some of those longer in-REM sleep cycles.
I knew that, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that that was when the physical healing is, and
Yeah.
then the psychological healing sort of stuff is later on, but I didn't
That's
understand
right.
why. So
So
thanks for clearing
yeah,
that up.
that's it, right. So you've also, if you've got a lot of emotional stress going on, and you may have both as well, that's where it's really important to make sure you're not getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning,
Yeah,
because you're
amen.
missing that REM sleep, which helps clean out all those emotions there, the stress you've got going on, and also consolidate a lot of learning processes as well. So both those cycles are really important, and respecting where you are and which ones you need is a big determinant on probably how you should be kind of using your sleep as well.
And that's like, so short-term memory processing would be done
Yep.
in that phase too, so that you're actually putting the stuff that you learned yesterday into the filing cabinet, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right. Tidying it up in the library and
Yeah,
putting
making
putting
sure
all the
it's not
books away.
lost in
Yeah.
the mess, which is what happens. And when we go to sleep, we have this, what scientists have only recently discovered, from what I understand, is that our brain actually shrinks in size, and the cerebral spinal fluid comes in and does a brain wash, so
Yeah.
to speak,
Yeah.
and
The
gets
natural
rid of the
healing cycles.
amyloid plaques and the.
Yeah.
So we have these beta amyloid plaques, which you may have heard from people who have Alzheimer's, and one of the risk factors for people developing Alzheimer's over time, over a long period of time, is poor sleep, because
Absolutely.
they're not washing out these beta amyloid plaques
Every
out of the
chronic
brain.
disease and inflammatory process, sleep will have an effect on.
Wow,
Every single one.
that is, and so, I mean, I'm just doing the section in the brain optimization longevity course on inflammation. And people do not get the concept, and I didn't for a long time either. What the heck? I had this conversation with my mum yesterday because I teach her all the stuff as I'm learning stuff. And she's going, but I'm not inflamed. And
If you have chronic disease, you have
yeah,
inflammation.
and I said, you don't feel this type of
Illness.
inflammation, Ma.
Yeah.
This is on the inside. This is the endothelial linings of your vessels. This is from the brain injury, the mixing of the blood in the brain and causing inflammation. You don't feel that. It's not like, because we all often think that inflammation, oh, that's when I've cut my hand and I've got that red thing around the cut. That's inflammation. No, that is inflammation too, but that's not the type of inflammation we're talking about. And we're talking about systemic inflammation, and there are so many aspects to lowering inflammation in our body, and sleep is a big piece of that puzzle, as we've just heard, and the right nutrition for your body, the right amount of exercise for your body at the right times, and all these things can help lower the inflammation levels in our systems. And inflammation is the cause of so many degenerative diseases, which are our biggest killers, you know.
Absolutely.
Heart attacks or heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancers even, all of these things have their root, or one of their main things is in the inflammation processes going on in the body. So if we can lower our inflammation, if we can look after our mitochondria, which are the little battery packs in each one of our cells, and help them produce more energy efficiently and not, you know, mutating their DNA and things like that because of the inflammation, because of the free radicals and so on. And, you know, this is a topic for another 10 sessions, but then we have foundational health, and then we can do and be a lot more for a longer period of time, you know. And it's also interconnected. So having the right sleep and wearing your blue blocking glasses and doing all these little bits and pieces will add up to long-term health. Do you agree?
Brilliant. What a great summary of health. You went right from cellular health right through to inflammation. That's a really great summary. You've been doing your homework, girl.
Oh man, I'm
really good
for this stuff, you know, and I just wish I had more brain power. And I'm determined to optimize my brain power to put more in, you know, so that you can understand more, so that you can help more. And the more you get into this world, and I mean that, you know, that was just a very you know, simplistic overview of things, and we're so complex, and there's so many other things to learn, you know, immune systems and, you know, God knows what, but it's all pieces of the puzzle. And I think when we have the attitude, I'm going to learn about me and my health and what happens in my body, because we spend ages, I don't get this, but we will spend ages planning our next holiday, what car we're going to buy and all the details of it. And we won't spend the time to actually look at what's going on in our health and our body, because we've outsourced that to the doctor. And I just think that is the biggest disaster that we can do for ourselves. You can't outsource our health to any one person. We have to take ownership of our health, and we have to be vigilant if we want to live long, healthy lives. If we don't, we see the consequences. You know, and unfortunately with, you know, quite a few of the people that I get to work with are at the bottom of the cliff already. You know, you're trying to save them at a stage where it's already, the train's already left the station, really. And you're desperately trying to get them back. And sometimes you do, you know, but gosh, it'd be a hell of a lot easier if you're working with people at the top of the cliff before they fall off, which is what you're doing. And
what a wonderful rant. Oh, I'm proud of that. That's so good.
I'm good at ranting.
Yeah, me too. But I'm even sitting back here going, wow, that's impressive. That was fantastic.
Oh, we could probably get on our soapbox, and but we're passionate about this because it affects people's lives. It affects people's, you know, people losing loved ones, people, you know, having horrific, you know, the last 20 years of their life's absolute crap because they've slowly degenerating, and they've left their health in the hands of doctors. And this is not an indictment on doctors, don't get me wrong, but they have a specific way of thinking. They have a certain amount of time to spend with. They're under-resourced, they're overworked, they've got 10 minutes with you. How the hell Are they going to get to the
It's
basis?
about disease too. It's not about health. We're about health, which is
We're about
the other
health.
side of the coin.
We're on the functional side of the equation,
Yeah.
meaning
I mean,
we're at the
I always say,
top
if you
Band-Aid.
get hit by a car, you don't want me standing over you going, "How would you sleep last night?"
Yeah.
Well, you should be wearing these glasses. In fact, you shouldn't be wearing those glasses if it's night, because you don't drive with glasses. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
certainly, that's what medicine's about, and that's amazing. The job that they've done, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that you've experienced some amazing.
Oh gosh, yes. Mum wouldn't be alive either without that.
Absolutely.
Without the surgeries and the incredible surgeons that there are, and acute trauma. We don't,
Too
no
right.
argument
Yeah,
there.
but we need the other side
Chronic.
too, though, where
Yeah.
we look at the health to stop people getting into that state as well. So,
Yeah.
if we can respect and go use the best of all those worlds, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. It's let's have that and that. It's not an either or situation.
No.
It's an and situation.
Yes.
Dave, thank you so much for your time today. You've been absolutely, so generous, and I know you do so much in the world, and you're giving and teaching, and so many trainers that I have the pleasure of meeting along the way. Just everybody is one of your students, it seems.
I'm lucky enough to have some of the best ones, and I know
do.
some of the best ones. Well, you attract good people, so some of those ones are around you. So I'm really pleased to hear that.
Yeah, and I can't wait to do more with you in the future, and to get to hopefully some of your courses as well, because I certainly want to learn more. And I love networking with such amazing, positive people. Dave, any last words? So people go to hm-coach.com. Grab the glasses. We're going to get them up on our site too if we can. The sleep stuff, they can reach out to you just via the website, or can they follow you on social as well?
What we'll do is we'll pop something on your show notes about that, and let's get you involved in that as well, so you can experience it and see how that works as well.
Very keen for
learning
that.
about your sleep and what's going on there is, you measure it to manage it. That's the old saying, and this is an important thing to measure and manage, particularly if you know that maybe there's some room for you to grow in that area.
It's definitely, and certainly for the male counterparts in my family, who will not listen otherwise.
Well, let's put the numbers in front of them.
Exactly, and then they might go, oh, okay. So thank you very much, Dave, for your time today over on the Sunshine Coast. We wish you well over there, and we'll see you again soon.
Great, sleep well.